They essentially said, we're going to build this team around the offense. We're going to build it around Russell Wilson. And he might be getting a great weapon. He's already, of course, got Tyler Lockett. He's got DK Metcalf. And now perhaps Antonio Brown. Pete Carroll said they are kicking the tires on Antonio Brown. And by the way, the Seahawks aren't the only team doing it. They're going to have to hold off a couple of other teams to sign AB. We're waiting to see who those teams might be. Just a quick rundown on what's happened to, of course, to Antonio Brown, just to show you, Key, how much has happened. This guy's been on 3 teams in a span of 7 months. Let's go to pre-pandemic. Can you remember life pre-pandemic? March of 2019, the Raiders finally say, look, we're going to take it on. They trade for him. So March 9th, 2019, he's a Raider. September 7th, I'm free. Do you remember that video? So that's September.
Not very smart, but go ahead.
2 days later, he signs with the Pats. Then he has a great game with Tom Brady and the Pats, balls out in Miami, and 11 days after they signed him, they cut him. So essentially, he was on the Steelers, the Raiders, and the Pats all in a span of 7 months last year. Now he's been sitting out. He's got an 8-game suspension to start the season. Here we are approaching week number 7. So if Seattle or anybody would sign him, Key, it would be his 4th team in 19 months. What do you make of it?
I'm okay with it. Antonio Brown's problems are not on the football field. He certainly has a Hall of Fame resume and was heading in that direction. Z, the problem with AB has been, the off-the-field issues that continue to come up during that time span. When you look at it, if Seattle is to make that decision that this is something that they really want to do, because the decision hasn't been made. They're doing their investigating. They're doing all the things that they need to do to check it out to make sure it's the right fit. He has a relationship with both quarterbacks and Geno Smith as well as Russell Wilson, worked out with them in the offseason. When you look at Seattle, you look at it and you go, how does that fit? How does that work? Russell Wilson and Antonio Brown?
Polar opposites, you would think, in some ways.
In people's minds. But you got to look at the organization. Okay. And you got to look at John Snyder and you got to look at Pete Carroll. John Snyder, general manager of Seattle, and Pete Carroll, the head coach. Pete Carroll has a history of 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th and 100 chances for guys that he believes in, whether it's in college football at USC or whether it's been his tenure up in Seattle with the Seahawks. He's taken on guys in risky behavior through the draft as well as through free agency. He traded for Marshawn Lynch that people said wasn't a bad guy. Look how that worked out for Marshawn Lynch in Seattle.
Brought him back
a couple times, I believe. You look at some of the players in Legion of Boom that questioned their character, worked out for him. He went and got Josh Gordon. In fact, he's looked at Josh Gordon several times since they had to release him to bring him back, because they have things that are in place in Seattle and they believe helping guys as much as they can. And I think there's some leadership in Seattle, not just in the football field, but in the organization that certainly could help a guy like Antonio Brown. When you go to the field, you match him with Tyler Lockett, who is one of the top 3, maybe 3-4 slot receivers in the game, the young DJ Metcalf. You got David Moore and Greg Olsen. Those 4 guys with AB, you slide in there. AB is kind of like everything's there. There's the cake. We got those 4 guys. That's the cake. The icing is on it. Mm-hmm. Now I'm getting ready to go put it on the table, and I think to myself, how can I make this cute and make everybody want to eat it? You go to the pantry or your cabinet, you come out with those little sprinkles all the kids like, and the kids go crazy. That's what AB's going to be for the Seattle Seahawks in that offense. He's that sprinkle that everybody goes, wow, man, that thing really looks good now. That's what he can do. He can lift the coverage for DK Metcalf. He can lift the coverage for Tyler Lockett. He's not going to be, and I know how people are. First thing they think is going to be a problem. He's going to want the football, all of those things and those narratives that they want to set for him. That's not going to be the case in Seattle. It's just not. You go back to that timeline, one of the major issues in Pittsburgh was he wanted his damn money. They decided not to give him his money. One of the major issues in Raider Town was the feet. The feet started it all.
The cryotherapy chamber. You remember that, everybody?
Cryotherapy chamber started it all. Frozen feet.
Frozen feet.
So then it became a problem. Then he got into it with Mayock, the general manager. So that became even more of a problem. Then all of a sudden, the off-the-field stuff came up because he was a model citizen, so to speak, in New England. For those 2 weeks that he was there.
Right.
he actually stayed at Tom Brady's house.
That's
so
right.
it was kind of like, okay, everything worked out. We cool. He went to Miami. He caught the touchdown, had about 57 yards on an X amount of catches. And then they fired him. And then he went ham on Mr. Kraft. So it was kind of, then he had the truck incident with the moving company.
Correct.
So it was kind of like everything was spiraling out of control. Sometimes when you miss something so bad, you get your act together. And he's missed football for those amount of months that you mentioned. He's been out of the game. The game is going to move on. It's like an assembly line. One gets on, the other gets off. They're not stopping.
Right.
And so maybe for him, he's woke up now and said to himself, I've got to become a better person in a better situation. The one thing that I do know, if he was a problem on the football field, Russell Wilson wouldn't go to bat for him. They wouldn't work out with him. Football players don't work out with guys that are problematic and get in the way of their success. They just won't do it. They're not going to orchestrate workouts and throw to him and bring him to the house. But they're not going to bring that into my family. He may have some off-the-field issues that he got to deal with, but on the field, he's a plus for Seattle if they decide that that's the direction in which they want to go.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.